I just finished public school, I'll tell you why it's great. Waking up at 6 a.m. to pledge allegiance to the state. Yeah, it's true, I got my public school blues.
So, as long as I still have time, I just want to go back and agree with what Governor Perry said. The most extraordinary thing that's happened with this military authorization is the president's planning on cutting $1 trillion out of military spending. Our Navy is smaller than it's been since 1917. Our Air Force is smaller and older than any time since 1947. We're cutting our number of troops. We're not giving our veterans the care they deserve. We simply cannot continue to cut our Department of Defense budget if we're going to remain the hope of the earth, and I will fight to make sure America retains military superiority.
Okay, this is kind of a startling finish here. First of all, this is a total red herring. Red herring is where a speaker will divert attention away from the question at hand by getting the audience to focus on a different subject entirely. So this is similar to what Romney did at the beginning of his statement. This statement, by the way, only 2 minutes long, and I think this is like the 17th fallacy that we've identified here, and I probably missed a few. But the original question about the NDAA and Romney's support of it, gets this mixed reaction, largely a negative reaction, it sounds like, from the crowd. So Romney is going to continue to push away from that question. We saw him do it originally with equivocation, changing like, whoa, we're not talking about American citizens, we're talking about dangerous terrorists. And now he's going to push even further away. And again, what we're seeing here is an appeal to patriotism and sort of an appeal to popularity or appeal to popular opinion. He knows that this crowd is anti-Obama and probably pretty patriotic. So what he's going to do is he's going to talk about keeping America safe. And I'd also like to spend 30 seconds on why Barack Obama is so bad, just to round you all back up and get myself a big applause finish. Once he uses the red herring, more fallacies follow. Misleading statistic. A misleading statistic is a statement that is true, but it's used in a way where it's incredibly deceptive. So Romney's statement that the U.S. Navy is smaller than it's been since 1916 might be true. But there is, again, combined with this is a fallacy of omission. So much information left out of that, again, and this is also a fallacy of composition, where you take the parts of something and you apply it to the whole, as if it'd be true for the whole. So basically, if naval spending, or the size of our Navy is shrinking, geez, that must mean the size of our whole military is shrinking. What's omitted from this, and what makes this a misleading statistic, is how much has the military changed since World War I and World War II, and how many other places does spending go? So a misleading statistic to cite the shrinking of the Navy and then applying that to the entire military. But this statement is loosely based on quasi-reality. Obama is talking about defense spending cuts, but there we have two euphemisms, which are also kind of equivocations, changes in definitions. The first one is defense. The U.S. military is not in the business of defense. The U.S. military is in the business of offense. Offense that, as we've seen in the last 10 or 15 years, puts American citizens in even more danger and is funded by aggression against you. You're not going to be defended by anybody if you refuse to pay for these wars, on the government side. Anyway, so defense, like offense and war and aggression and imperialism, we call that defense. And the second word that's euphemistic and also an equivocation is cuts. Now, in the real world where we live, cuts means sort of like immediate reductions in money anyway, an immediate reduction. So, for example, if today's Monday and you were just told you're getting a pay cut and you get paid on Friday, your check this Friday is going to have less money in it than it did last Friday. This is not how it works in the world of government. So when Obama says, I think he's talking about $500 billion in defense cuts, it sounds pretty significant when you just say it like that. But this doesn't mean that fiscal year 2012's defense budget is going to be $500 billion more than next fiscal year defense budget. No, not at all. What cuts means in the language of government is that over a period of time, there will be cuts not in spending, but in spending increases. So when Obama says, like, if you just like look at things skimming across the surface of these statements, it sounds pretty good if you want to cut defense spending. I'm going to cut $500 billion out of defense spending. And that's what he says. What he means is that over the course of the next decade, they will eliminate $500 billion in defense spending increases. So it's not even like we're talking about cutting $500 million a year out of defense spending. It means cutting that out of growth of defense spending. That's cuts, and that's defense. And of course, for our big finish, we have all of these new fallacies, starting with that red herring, building up to one more use of the appeal to fear. You're in danger if Barack Obama is president. The solution to that danger is me, Mitt Romney. That was 2 minutes with Mitt Romney. This man talks all day.
Public school, you keep me in good mental health, 'cause without you, I'd have to think